Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories. I'm going to share some with y'all today. If you happen to like this video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you'll be notified ASAP and you can hop on immediately. A lot of people saying they're not getting my notifications, so maybe you have to go back. You have to unsubscribe, then resubscribe, and make sure you have the over there where the bell is. Make sure you have your notifications on all and not personalized. Anyway, let's hop right up into this story, man. So, a couple of days ago, I had did a story or whatever, and I had commented, and somebody, I had mentioned something in my story, and somebody commented in the section. They said, "Hey, chill, man. You know that guy is PC, right?" And so, and honestly, this has been on my mind for a while. Discussing the so-called PC or the Dropout channels, right? Now, let me say this first and foremost. I mean, no disrespect to nobody, right? And so the pictures that I have up on my thumbnail are people who have channels who have admitted that they've dropped out. And so that's why I went ahead and put those pictures up there, right? So like I said, once again, this is not a shot at anybody, right? Now, first and foremost, me myself, I've never been to a sensitive needs yard or a protective custody yard, right? Um, had I had went PC, right? Me personally, I would not be on YouTube. I would not be on YouTube making videos simply because of my ego, and I would be embarrassed. Unfortunately for me, and I say unfortunately, right? Unfortunately for me, I had bought wholeheartedly into this, gangster street mentality, whatever. And I remember maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, I heard an older dude. We was sitting in the tank, right? And he said, "Man, pride is a waste of time." And at that time, I did not understand what he means, or excuse me, at that time I didn't understand what he meant. Now I get it. Your pride can get you in a ton of trouble. It's pride sometimes that will make a person my size. And when I say my size, I'm still used to being small, right? I went to jail, man, 5'9", 145 pounds, 140 pounds. So pride is the thing that would make me go in the cell with a dude who was much bigger than me, because I didn't want people to think negative of me, right? But that pride, like I said, can get you busted up, right? And so my pride wouldn't have allowed me to come on YouTube making videos knowing that I had PC'd up and I didn't stick to the script, right? But like I say, I honestly and sincerely, I don't look down on anyone who does, right? Everybody has different journeys. And, I honestly also know that prison is rough, right? Prison is rough, man. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes, people don't stay on the main line. That's just the bottom line. And that is evident if we look at all the PC yard and PC penitentiaries that the California Department of Corrections once had. They had so many SNY yards that eventually they forced all the SNYs to go back to mainline because it was just too much. And then we have to keep in mind too that when a person is on an SNY yard, which stands for sensitive needs yard, same thing as PC, equivalent to a PC yard, a person is not always there for being like a child molester or a rapist or something like that. Sometimes it might be dirty politics. Sometimes this person may have just had a drug habit in jail, or maybe he was gambling and did something he couldn't, maybe he got into a debt that he couldn't pay. And, it was time for him to go, regardless of who you are. I don't care how big, I don't care how bad you are, right? I don't care what organization you happen to run with. When your collective organization tells you, man, it's time to go, it's time to go. And that's if they tell you, if they show you that it's time to go, it's time to go. You can leave by a few, you can leave through way of violence if they give you the chance, or you can leave fighting, or you can leave getting attacked, but you best believe you gonna leave. I've seen and heard of stories where dudes have got attacked by their respective collective, and they've chose to come back to the yard again and get attacked again. They leave and then they come back and get attacked again. But like I said earlier, there is no way one person is gonna be able to stand up to 300-400 people when your collective has made the decision that you have to go. So the dude who left the comment in my comment section saying, "Hey, chill, that dude you mentioned, he's no good," or blah blah blah, right? I look at things like this too. Just because a person has gone to SNY yard or gone to a PC yard, it definitely doesn't negate his experience, and it definitely doesn't make him an automatic liar just because he chose to go to a SNY yard, right? So my thing is this here, man. I say, listen to the story. You listen to the story and you have enough sense to decide if it's true or not. If you believe, if dude if dude seems like a person that's believable, right? Okay, so there's a few channels, right? You got L from A Prisoner's Awakening. Once again, no disrespect to L. L. I've listened to L's stories. L, it seems like a genuine person. He's forthcoming. He's honest. And to be honest, man, even with all the time I did in prison, I learned things from L's channel, right? Because when you're doing time in prison as a black, right, you don't go up to other organizations and say, "Hey, man, how do you guys function? Is it true that I hear this, or is it true that I hear that? Are the things that I hear about those situations, are they true?" You see some things in prison. You kind of, you learn from afar. You also have homies who have been doing time and they say, "Hey, man, well, they've got this, they've got that." But unless you program with a particular organization, you never fully know 100% what's going on, right? So to get out, to hear certain dudes, confirm or deny certain, I would say certain allegations around certain organizations, for me personally, is interesting. Even like I said, even though I've done all that time, there's another channel that I listen to periodically. It's called Stories from a Current Prisoner. Now, I believe the majority of dudes who call in, so what that channel is about is you have prisoners who are locked up. They call in and they share stories. I believe the dude's name is Tony. They share stories with Tony. They share their experiences, right? And I've heard people say, well, a lot of these dudes are calling from SNY yards or whatever. And so that doesn't, like I said once again in my mind, that doesn't automatically negate their experience and move and prove that they're lying or make it seem like they have an axe to grind. I believe sometimes, man, it's human nature to, when you telling a story about something, your feelings in that story is gonna come out. So I think that it's not hard to it's not hard to hear when someone is telling a story and he has some animosity, or he has some hurt or betrayal due to a betrayal in his story. It's gonna come out. Sometimes I listen to that story, I hear dudes on there, they take shots at blacks, so and that's evident. You know what I'm saying? I heard a dude one time say he came there, Mexican dude, he came to prison and his homie was telling him, or he was saying, "Dang, man, look how big those black dudes are," and his homie, or he told his homie, or his homie was saying that. Either way, one of them told the other one, "Oh yeah, well, they just the bigger muscles to run faster with." Basically was taking a shot like that, blacks run from the Mexicans and stuff like that, right? So, I say all that to say, when I hear stuff like that, it's easy to discern this dude may have animosity or hatred, right? I've also heard a lot of stories on those channels from dudes speaking on things that dispel a lot of the myths circulating prison organizations, prison races, prison factions, so on and so forth, right? Certain organizations, it's part of their code of conduct, I guess I would say, part of their bylaws, part of their rules, that they're not to discuss the inner goings of their circle, right? So of course, a lot of times on YouTube, we're not necessarily gonna hear the negative things about particular organizations, right? Like I say, I come on here, I speak to what I believe are the detriments of the black cars, right? But everybody's not gonna be forthcoming. Some dudes are, some dudes are extremely biased, and whatever negative things they seen, they're not gonna speak on it, right? Like I say, there's another channel. It's called Paradigm Media News, and I hear a lot of interesting stories on that channel as well. I hear a lot of stories that dispel a lot of these myths that's going on around YouTube, right? So, and it's up to the listener to believe, whatever, whatever. It's up to the listener to decide if he believes what he hears or not, right? And then, when I hear stories like that or I hear comments like that, I think, at what age, man, should individuals come home from prison and put all that stuff to the side? It's up to that particular individual, man. If a person loves his gang and he loves, being righteous more than he loves his family and his freedom, like Bobby Brown said, man, it's your prerogative. More power to them dudes, man. I had a life, I had a life sentence. And in 2018, I went to the board and they gave me a date. They told me, you're going home, man. 2 days later, once I got back, I took all my paperwork and I threw all that stuff away, with the exception of a few important papers and stuff. And I passed out some information and literature that I had, pertaining to lifers and how to help them get dates and stuff like that. But for the most part, man, I didn't care about that mess. I didn't plan on coming home and going back. I didn't plan on coming home and hopping on YouTube, right? So that stuff is only important as the individual makes it, man. Keep in mind, you guys, we join gangs, the majority of us, as kids, man. We join gangs as 14 and 15-year-old kids, and a lot of those rules that go with the gangs were created by kids. So at what point does a grown man stop following rules that was created by kids? You know what I'm saying? Am I still involved with my hood and my homies and this and that? Yeah, to a certain degree, because I grew up at a time where your hood was your family. A lot of my homies who I grew up with and started to hang out with and bang, sell dope and steal cars and do what gangbangers do. Man, we grew up as kids. I would spend the night at their house. I know their mom, their father. I address their parents as Mr. and Mrs. to this day. If I'm out right now talking and crazy and cussing and rapping and one of their parents come by, I stop out of respect, because they are like family. So if something is going on in my area, sometimes I may give my input, because I'm not going to be able to get rid of the genuine love and concern I have for people in my area who grew up and are going through things that I'm experiencing. But I'm going to try to guide them and talk to them in a positive way, right? So I don't think a person will automatically get out of prison and just say, forget my hood, forget all this and that. Because if you grew up in an era where I grew up, that stuff was important to you because it was like family. But does that stuff matter to me now, to the point where I'm going to risk my freedom again and risk the things that are important to me? No, you know what I'm saying? So I say to the channels that are, admittedly PC or dropout channels or whatever dudes want to categorize them as, I say do not stop listening to those channels, or not refuse to listen to those channels because those dudes you feel didn't quote unquote stick to the script. Because going to prison is hard, right? I'm gonna just keep it 100, man. Going to prison is hard, and I went to prison, man. I wasn't no tough guy by any means. I was too small to be a tough guy. But what I was intelligent enough to know to follow the rules, man. That's how I got through prison. I didn't get to prison being bad. I got through prison following the rules that was, I guess, put in place for who I ran with, right? And unfortunately, sometimes people go to prison and people don't always have the mental health faculties to follow the rules. Sometimes people have physiological disorders or drug dependencies, where sometimes it makes it hard for them to follow the rules, right? Or sometimes people are young and immature and haven't had the type of intellectual guidance to help them follow the rules, right? And so, like I said, man, sometimes everybody doesn't make it on the main line. But does that automatically mean that person can't mature, that person can't wise up and share experiences and be honest about what happened? In my opinion, no, man. And so, like I said, at this point in time in my life, I'm on some grown man stuff in terms of what I choose to look at, who I choose to listen to, what I choose to, what I choose to incorporate into my lifestyle. And some of this stuff to me, like I said, is just purely entertainment as well. Because, regardless of the fact I've done 24 years in prison, I still find a lot of these stories intriguing, right? I still hear a lot of things that says, okay, well, you know what? That's why that certain situation back at a certain time happened, because once again, when you're programming as a black, you don't go up to the Mexicans or the Asians or the whites or any other car. As a black, I don't go up to the Compton Crip car or the Long Beach car and ask them, hey, well, why y'all just beat up old boy? Either you gonna hear some rumors possibly, but those may just be rumors. You never really know how a particular organization is operating until you function with that organization. So anyway, man, that is my opinion on the so-called dropout channels or whatever. Once again, I mean no disrespect. And I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. I'm going to listen to the stories, and I'm going to, due to my penitentiary experience and my, my understanding and my comprehension, I'm going to decide for myself if I believe that story or not. Anyway, y'all already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.